Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever stared at a screen absolutely packed with things you genuinely need to do, only to find yourself completely, utterly unable to start a single one of them, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking a real deep dive into the underlying reasons we get stuck when we're staring down a massive to-do list. We're going to untangle the psychology of task paralysis, figure out why your brain literally stalls out, and look at how a system called Untangle actually targets the root of this exact problem. You sit down with 10 things to do. Several feel urgent. Instead of starting, you freeze. Stare at the screen, pick up your phone, reorganize the list by color. An hour vanishes, and nothing got done. I want to validate that right out of the gate, because honestly, we have all been there. It's a highly relatable, incredibly frustrating experience, right? You block out the time, you grab your coffee, your fingers are literally on the keyboard, and then just nothing. You end up color-coding your inbox or endlessly scrolling social media while the real work just sits there mocking you. But before we can fix this, we've got to completely dismantle how we actually think about this problem. Section 1. The familiar freeze. Okay, let's dive into this. I need this to really, truly sink in. When you freeze up in front of your tasks, it is emphatically not a motivation problem. You are not lazy. You care about the work. Your intent is entirely there, and you genuinely want to get it done. The real issue? Your brain's execution mechanism has simply stalled out. It's like the engine is running perfectly, but the transmission just won't engage. Section 2. The internal system crash. And this brilliantly illustrates what's going on internally. Task paralysis is literally an internal system crash. It's caused by the brain trying to process importance, steps, and emotional weight all simultaneously. Just think about what happens biologically when every single thing on your list feels equally urgent. Your brain is frantically trying to answer 3 massive questions at the exact same time for every single task. How important is this compared to the others? What are the literal step-by-step actions required to finish it? And how stressed or anxious do I feel about doing it? Trying to process all of those complex variables at once, it completely overloads your cognitive bandwidth, and boom, you get a literal blank mind. The symptoms of this internal crash are actually very specific. First up, everything feels equally urgent. Your brain completely loses its ability to triage. Second, your execution mechanism completely stalls. And finally, you're left with this totally blank mind while staring at a very full plate. I really want to normalize this for you right now. This is a processing failure, guys, not a personal failure. Your brain is just receiving way too many competing signals at once, so it panics and pulls the emergency brake. Section 3. Why productivity tools fail. Handing an overwhelmed person a typical to-do app is like handing them a detailed map of Mount Everest before they've tied their boots. I love that quote. The fundamental flaw with almost every productivity tool out there on the market is that they assume your bottleneck is organization. But listen, if your brain has already crashed because it's so overwhelmed, giving you a better filing cabinet doesn't magically help you start working. It just gives you another chore. Let's break down the 2 primary traps of these existing tools we all try to use. First up, you've got pure storage tools like Todoist or Things. Now, these are great, but they assume you already know exactly what to do and in what exact order. They demand prior organization from a brain that is actively refusing to organize. But then on the flip side, you have hyper-flexible workspaces like Notion. These offer infinite possibilities, which, let's be real, immediately induces overwhelming blank page anxiety before you've accomplished a single thing. Both of these approaches demand super high cognitive effort right at the exact moment you have the least to give. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about AI? Let's walk through the exhausting reality of using standard AI chat tools for this. Step 1. You ask ChatGPT to break down a task. Step 2, it gives you a genuinely great plan, but it's just text sitting in a window. Step 3, you now have to copy, paste, and manually transfer that entire plan into your own calendar or task system. And step 4, you still have to manage the execution yourself. That transfer step is just pure cognitive friction dumped right onto someone who is already completely maxed out. Honestly, it's just more work. Section 4. Managing psychology, not projects. So the crucial point is this. If forced organization doesn't work for an overwhelmed brain, what actually does? This brings us to a fundamentally different approach. The Untangle system introduces a built-in productivity mentor named Aaron, and Aaron's entire workflow is designed from the ground up to deliberately skip forced organization entirely. The very first unlock in the system is what we'll call the brain dump protocol. You just type or speak everything that is on your mind. You include those hard, scary deadlines right alongside vague worries and unfinished commitments. And here's the absolute magic of it. There is zero need to organize, tag, or prioritize any of it first. Remember, the exact moment you ask an overwhelmed person to categorize their tasks, you've lost them. The system crash just restarts. Untangle lets you just get the messy, stressful stuff out of your head without any penalty. Section 5. Lowering mental activation energy. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is the sheer difference in communication. Take a broad instruction like prepare the presentation. To a stalled brain, that is a massive, heavy mountain of emotional weight and a bunch of unknown steps. It gets immediately rejected. But compare that to a micro step. Open the presentation and write the title. See the difference? It totally bypasses the freeze because it doesn't trigger that overwhelming evaluation of importance and effort. It's just one tiny thing. Open the presentation and write the title. Just that one thing. Sitting with an incredibly simple instruction like this perfectly mirrors the psychological relief you feel when you lower your mental activation energy. Untangle sits uniquely right between the planning phase and the doing phase. It doesn't just hand you a list and walk away. It holds your focus on one microscopic action until momentum finally takes over. Let's anchor today's core takeaway with one final analogy. Standard productivity tools? They're basically like emailing someone a workout PDF. The information is technically all there, sure, but you have to figure out how to use it while you're already completely exhausted. Untangle, on the other hand, is like having a personal trainer physically walk you to the machine, adjust the seat for you, and literally hand you the very first weight. The intelligence isn't just trapped in the planning, it's built directly into the execution, staying right there with you through those tiny, focused work sessions. So, I want to leave you with a question to really chew on the next time you feel that familiar freeze setting in. Are you trying to manage your project, or are you finally ready to manage your psychology? Because once you realize that task paralysis is a system crash and not a motivation deficit, you can actually stop fighting your to-do list and start working with your brain. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you untangle your next big project.